Tristan never really told anyone this, but he was still afraid of the dark. As he descended down that rope line into this crypt, catacombs, whatever it was that Gahenna had led them to, he really, really felt uncomfortable. It wasn't the height, again, it was the dark. And can you blame him? Like, in the Ironlands, there's all sorts of stories of things that lurk in the shadows. What goes bump in the night can sometimes actually be something there. It wasn't much relief, him finally touching down at the bottom of this rope in this fireplace where the damp water flowed away to some subterranean level even further down. He went with Gahenna as they explored into this vast pitch nothing, with nothing but their torches and then their oil lamps to sort of help guide them through this darkness. His fears made all the worse for the fact that they found some sort of body, a skeleton, dried and emaciated, yes, but something killed this person. And here he was in the dark with a strange elf, and he just couldn't help but have this stuff slowly eat away at him. But he found his calm, he collected himself, he looked at Gahenna, and he thought, well, if she can be down here, if she can face this darkness with me, then surely it's going to be okay. And then he realized something. Gahenna, didn't you have a dog? Tristan watched as fear suddenly appeared in Gahenna's eyes, and the panic began again. Hello, my name is Evan. I am playing a game of Ironsworn. It's more or less just the free copy you're able to download off the internet, made by Sean Tompkins. Have a look, it's a great game. And yeah, this is just a game that's continuing on, the continuing adventures of Gahenna as she tries to find her place in the world. I have recently finished my detective series, The Big Dry, so if you haven't, go watch that. It's a bit long because some of them I'm still figuring out my feet as to how to record these things, but it's enjoyable nonetheless, and there might be more detective things in the future. Also some sci-fi stuff in the future, perhaps. You know, certain things have come out recently which make that really exciting and possible. But let's continue this adventure of Gahenna and see where it takes us. We have reached some proper dungeon crawling. I don't really do much dungeon crawling in my roleplay games because, I don't know, it just doesn't take my fancy. But here we are in the dark. Gahenna, whose life was turned upside down overnight, is trying to find a new home for herself and her mother-in-law, this bitter old woman, Naomi. Basically, she has found an inn. If she can head north to Waven's Rest, and help out with an accident that occurred, a bit of a landslide, then the locals will, or she thinks, will embrace her and welcome her in. Maybe. We'll see. If nothing else, she's got to try and be successful here. When she got to the excavation site, they met some of the diggers, and they were not very friendly and welcoming to these outsiders. They thought that maybe they're trying to like stake their claim here. So even though herself, a few others, including this kind-hearted Tristan chap, even though they tried to help, they got sort of driven out. So in the end, Gahenna used some of her elf lore in order to find another way in. She's using her elf lore because her pleas to this new divinity, this Ironland divinity, which her late husband had introduced her to, doesn't seem to be helping, at least not at the moment. So a bit disappointing on that front. But they've nonetheless found the entrance into this this catacomb, this mine. We found the remains of possibly one that came before, had been attacked and gored somehow. And all of this all around a mysterious iron shard, a big monolith that dot the landscape. All she knows is somewhere in here there could be either the living or the dead remains of some of the people caught in the landslide, in the cave collapse that got them stuck there. and she needs to find them. She needs to preserve their life somehow. That's the oath that she swore when she went on this adventure. Okay, let's start. So Gahenna forgot to bring the dog down here. Basically, Gahenna is not combat designed, basically. There is Zenita, it's the dog that belonged to Naomi, that Naomi let us bring along. And pretty much last episode, we started climbing down this cave to get into these catacombs. And I made a big song and dance about the ropes, and it's all very difficult. And I forgot the fact that there's a dog coming along with them in theory. So we're gonna say the dog's not there. So basically, what I have to do now is have a look around. So Gahenna's going to try and secure advantage and see if she can find a knife or something, maybe on the body, and maybe even sort of ask Tristan to see if there's anything else. So we'll try and secure advantage. So that's wit +3. No, it's bad. She finds nothing. She finds absolutely nothing. On a miss, we fail. We are unable to find any weapon. Look, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say that she has no weapon. She's unarmed. She asked Tristan, and Tristan's like, all I've got is like a hatchet. Like I didn't intend to do any fighting. Or maybe not a hatchet, like an entrenching tool. That's all Tristan has. So really, actually, neither of them are particularly armed. I think that's appropriate to pay the price. Neither of them are particularly armed. So what I'm going to say is, if anything comes up where there's like combat involved, and unless it's like hand to hand, and literally hand to hand, like if there's a creature down here, then but if it's hand to hand, they'll just roll normally. If they're not, we might even actually -1 from the possible roll. Oh, what am I doing to myself? Okay, so the way we're going to run this is basically I've got the original free rules from the game, but I couldn't help Googling a few other rules that exist out there for Ironsworn. I'm going to make use of this idea of the advanced threat that exists in some other versions of the game. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to start exploring down into these catacombs, looking for this party or what remains of the party. But if anything goes wrong, I'm going to advance the threat. I don't know what the threat is. It could be a cave-in, it could be another band of marauders, it could be the what's it called outside, the diggers that don't like us. It could be something else lurking in the dark. I don't know. But basically, if the advanced threat ever reaches parity with my exploration, things go badly. Taking things slow, looking around, this place could collapse. I don't think these guys are expecting traps, but they do know that there's been a cave-in. So Tristan and Gahenna, with their lamps and no weapons, begin to make their way into the dark. We're rolling wits. So with that strong hit, they continue into the dark. They start making good headway. And I'm going to say that basically as they move through these catacombs, this place is well made. It's better made than they thought. The floor is pretty solid. There's no cracks, no breakage. It's almost unnaturally well made. You know what I mean? Like the tiles are pretty nice. The walls are pretty nice. And almost as they go in, their light seems to do more work than it should. Like it actually seems to be scattering further. They're noticing, and I'm just being creative here, I apologize, maybe to do with a movie I saw recently. They're noticing that the walls in this narrow, deep, big space, they're actually like got different colors. There's like a sort of a weird pinky hue, weird yellowy hue on the ground, and as they sort of follow a wall, it's got like sort of like a green hue. It's all very off colors though, and it just seems a bit odd. Again, as they look at the walls, they don't actually see those colors. It's still just stone, but I don't know, it's just the impression they get from the corner of their eye. So as they make their way through the dark, I'm going to say that, they went pretty well. They're just walking through a dark room, but they've got to encounter something, haven't they? So let's roll on the action and theme. Control. Okay, so I've got 10 and 94, and ironically it says control path. So basically, as they make their way around, they come across a door. The door controls the path, and it's big, and it is fortified. It's into the wall. There's no ramparts or anything on the outside of it, but it's just a big, heavy door, maybe like a portcullis-y type thing, I don't know, but certainly a big, heavy door. Is it locked? So Gahenna goes over and Tristan go over, so they go together and they go to pull on it, and then we go to see if they can actually open this thing. But again, we're just seeing if it's locked. We're not trying to like break it open if it is, so we're just going to ask the question, is it locked? Ancient, but it's there to control the path, so we're going to say likely. Yeah, so it's locked. They can't get through. Let's gather information. We might be able to pick the lock. Is there a little elven riddle that's going to help us through? So let's gather some information and see if that can help us out. Okay, so no, it's all right. So it's a weak hit, and what they find, I'm going to say, is some sort of locking mechanism, but it's in the way. It's going to complicate things a little bit. So again, we'll action and theme this thing. So they look at this. They look at this this big door, and we're going to say it is made out of some sort of big ancient wood, really hard wood. I know that sounds silly, but like they have a look. They get the entrenching tool. They see they can like pry it a little bit. It doesn't budge. It's definitely wood, but it's almost like it's stone. Like how much this stuff just doesn't budge under that sort of pressure. But as they're looking at it, they notice that there are some engravings, some carvings on this thing, and they can see that there is a series of swords, I'm going to say. They're little swords or some sort of blades. Not even swords. They almost look like arrows. It's only that they're kind of like, well, you put a hand there, and that looks like you could hold it as a sword. And they're all pointed around this sort of like ring in the middle. All pointed around like a little sun. Happy sun sort of thing. Not happy sun because we're in the dark. And all in the ring, there are placed these little like plaque things. And I notice they're actually separate from the door. It's like they're like little forms of jewelry, but again, not made of gold. They're just sort of made of the same sort of wood. And they notice they do come in and out a little bit. Problem is, as they're looking around this ring, they see that one of the pieces of jewelry is missing. A theory. Basically that in order to command this door action, they would get all these pieces of jewelry that belong to a fellowship, that was the other word, and the idea is you put all your bits of special like seals basically, and that would help you to open the door somehow. And there's one missing. So they need to find this little key thing that fits into this little locking mechanism in order to keep going. Well, the others are there. Like, let's just look around and see if we can, see if we can find another one. So this is gathering information. And it's not good. It's not good. So they can't find it. And they look around the floor. They can't find anything anywhere that shows there could be something on the floor around here. But also, as they're looking around, they can't find the seal. But also, because they can't find the seal, I think this is a good opportunity to advance the threat. We failed on a roll, so let's see what happens. Let's see if that's okay or not. Okay, so I rolled a 38 on the advance roll, which means something gets closer. As they're moving through the dark, searching for that seal thing, Gahenna can't help but feel something's bad. Something's wrong. She once or twice even looks up and stares out into the darkness, the weird walls stretching before her, but eventually it fades off into just blackness. Can't see that fireplace they entered in anymore. And as she looks into the darkness, she swears it looks back. But enough of this. So they can't find any sort of locking mechanism to make it work. Command fellowship. Okay. Look, basically, they have to get through this door somehow. So what they're going to do is they're going to try and break the lock, essentially. So they've got this entrenching tool, and they're going to like shove it straight in there into the locking mechanism. And together, Tristan and Gahenna are going to try and heave this thing and just see if they can break it into spinning. I know that's kind of crazy, but that's just what they're going to try and do. Or maybe break the lock open to try and get inside, something like that. So what we're going to do is we'll roll our strength on that. So that's +2, but because Tristan is helping us out, we'll say that's an additional 2. Additional 1, sorry. So 3 to this. And it works out. They managed to get a moderate hit, a weak hit, that's the word I'm looking for. So they're heaving on this thing, they can feel the tension, they can even feel that this thing is actually starting to move. They can actually feel the movement. It'd be so much easier if they could but clearly something's resisting and then suddenly something budges. But as it does, the entrenching tool breaks. The entrenching tool breaks, which means they now no longer have any form of armament at all. And I'm going to say that that basically will come back to bite them later, basically. I think we can adamantly say if anything wrong comes and attacks them, both of them are disarmed. Neither of them can use this entrenching tool to fight with. It's not even good as a club anymore. It like snaps, so it's like you can't even hold it to do anything with. It's gone. So they've got no combat ability as they proceed through this dungeon. That might be okay. I don't like the odds of it though. But as the entrenching tool breaks, the thing does in fact click and crunch. And then they're like, grab on. So they grabbed onto the door and they heave and they heave and then it comes open. And as it does, they're able then to look further on. Is there something on the other side of the door? Let's say even more specifically, is there a specific threat on the other side of the door? Let's just go 50-50, shall we? Okay. No. There's nothing on the other side of the door. It's quiet. It's calm. Let's keep moving. So they keep moving through this darkness. Let's say that this next corridor is just a bit more narrow, but that weird, uncanny feeling is all around them still. Are these walls carved and decorated at all? 50-50? Yeah, they are. So this, as they come in, the place is indeed decorative. So they can actually now see, running along these walls, some reliefs, some carvings into the wall. Of what? Let's say... Okay, so as they move through these corridors, they look on the walls, and again, the language they don't understand, and the depictions and the reliefs don't really make much sense. But they can see that running along these walls, they can see figures that kind of look like people, and they've got themselves some sort of creature. It's hard to make out, but it's pulling along some sort of sled. Maybe this is the digging of these tunnels or something like that, and these things are pulling out the sled. It's hard to say they're an animal. It could be an animal. It might not be an animal. Something's pulling some sort of sled to move the rocks out of these caves, maybe. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. But as they keep moving forwards, do they come across anything else? I rolled an action and theme, and I've got preserve weakness, and I've got something interesting in mind. Basically, as they keep going through these catacombs, and as they keep looking at these images, again, largely creatures moving these rocks out, but as they look at them, they begin to see that the figures on the stone are looking at them. No, they're not. They're abstract. They're just like little bauble heads on sticks. They're not looking at you. They haven't got eyes. They're looking at me. Why are they looking at me? And they keep going. They don't. Gahenna doesn't mention this to Tristan. Tristan, she looks back at him. She sees he's just sort of like also looking at these pictures oddly. No, they're just weird pictures. They keep looking. It's looking at me. Those things are looking at me. They're telling me something. They're telling me something. I should throw away all my stuff. Yeah, I should get rid of any equipment I have. I don't need any equipment down here. I'm strong enough. I think I'm strong enough. Wouldn't I? I'd be weak without my stuff, wouldn't I? No, I wouldn't be weak without my stuff. I'd be strong. And all these thoughts, all these whispers begin to move through Gahenna's mind. And there's a part of her that knows something's wrong. That these whispers are not her own, but at the same time they are. They're clearly her. They're her own thoughts. Are they her thoughts? So she's confused. And what we're going to do is we're going to face danger. We're going to face danger. This is some sort of weird booby trap that these ancient ones have left behind, and it could get bad. So basically, the idea is this is a thing that keeps any intruders weak with some sort of weird dark magic going on here. So we're going to say that they're facing danger with their wits, okay, with their wits. So can they fortitude themselves and be like, no, this is not me. What's going on? So let's find out. So +3, and it's a weak hit. It's a weak hit, it's a 9 and a 3. So the voices are loud. It's pretty much as Gahenna tries to begin to resist, they begin to get louder. And eventually she finds herself that they're just screaming, and they're just screaming, and they're just screaming in her ears, and she can barely take it at all. But then she finally just sort of, through just sheer force of will, she focuses on her fear. The fact that, oh my goodness, what is doing this? Is this place is able to trap us. She actually does something very horrible. She focuses on that fear that something is tricking her, that this is in fact then a trick. So it helps her to steady her mind. She doesn't throw away her equipment. She doesn't throw away all her supply. But just that terror sinks in, and she begins to, her spirit is flagging. She sort of snaps to, the voices stop, and she realizes she is meddling with stuff way beyond what she is capable of. But we're still, Tristan, she looks back at him, she sees that he's also struggling with this. We don't know if he's going to succeed or not. The way we're going to try and figure this out is she's going to compel him. She's going to go, Tristan, listen, don't listen to them. They're not real. They're just in your head. This is a trick. Please listen to me. So she's going to try and convince him to not throw away all of his stuff and maybe do who knows what else. So she's going to try and get his attention. I guess she has to use her heart. She's just trying to persuade him that, mate, this isn't what's going on. So it's +2. Oh no! Oh, it's a big miss. Okay, so it's a big miss. Because again, like he takes his equipment that he's got on him and he like just jumps it down. Again, he didn't have much to do with it. He had the entrencher tool. That's it. But basically, he just takes his rucksack stuff and chucks it down. He even takes the oil lamp and just smashes it on the ground. A little bit of flame lights up from the oil, but it's going to burn out. And Gahenna's like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Does it get worse? I'm going to say we lose another possible supply there. And we have to deal with him in a sec. But while that happens as well, we're being delayed. No, we won't roll for that yet. So he's smashed the supply. Okay. Tristan looks at Gahenna. He's like, I don't need all this stuff. I'm strong enough. Look, I can even do it with one arm, mate. Look, give me that pot shard. And he grabs the pot shard, and it looks like he's actually going to start hurting himself. He's going to start damaging himself to weaken himself even further. So Gahenna again is going to try and stop him. That didn't work. I need every advantage I can get. Oh, I tell you what. Should burn some stamina. Oh, that's what I should do. Burn some momentum. So what she will do is she's going to try and convince him. Yeah, she's going to try and convince him. So this guy's an artisan. He's a pot maker. He broke the oil lamp. So that's what she's going to do. You broke the oil lamp. You would never do that. You know how much time it takes to make those things. Those are important. They could really last well. I know you're capable of a lot of things, but you are not acting yourself. You would not smash a beautiful piece of handiwork like those clay oil lamps. You're not acting yourself. So she's used a wit there. She's using a wit in order to try and convince Tristan that this is not you. This is not you. So let's see if this works. Oh, please work. It doesn't work. So Tristan, he grabs the pot shard and he's like, nah, I know. What do you mean it's not me? I'll prove you how strong I am. And he does indeed hack into his leg. He just starts hacking into his leg. A bit of a wound, nothing major yet, but he's gone. Like, this is not good. He's not thinking straight. So with that failure in mind, what we're going to have to do is get into a bit of a battle, to be honest. We're not going to do a full-on fight, but basically, as he's like sort of distracted there, Gahenna is going to grab some of the rope. I'm going to say that they did cut some of the rope off from the bottom. I know that they used to get down there, but they might come across another hole. So they took some of the rope that they do have, the last little bit from the bottom again, and she's going to try and come behind him and just tie him up. Like, just come behind him quickly, bring him in and tie him up, and just see if she can slap some sense at him, drag him out of here. I don't know, something like that. So we'll roll it as a battle. We'll say that basically she's using here her strength, her iron. She's going to try and overpower him. Oh, please. Oh, thank goodness. So she is able to sort of take him almost a bit by surprise. He's just addled and bleeding now, so he's actually starting to get a bit confused. And she's able to sort of get around him and bring him down to the ground, which he does with a thud. He loses the pot, falls out of his hand. They land in the oil, it splashes. It is burning a little bit, but basically when they land on it, it sort of goes out a bit more. It's slowly fading. And she's able to get around behind him. She pulls him down and ties him as best she can. But as she does so, as she falls down, she burns herself and cuts herself on something that all shards. So it's not without a bit of a tussle, but she gets him down and she gets him sorted. Okay. So this is all obviously a big waste of time, which means that the threat is going to advance. I had to do two different sort of waste timey things. So let's advance the threat twice. Oh, as in roll the dice twice and see what happens. 1, and 2. Oh, it advances a little bit more. Okay. Okay, so this has been a complete pig's breakfast. But she got him tied up. What does she do now? Well, all she can do is basically just drag him out of there. I mean, well, what else can she do? So that's what she's going to do. She's going to basically grab him by his ankles, and he's all like, what are you tying me up for? Let me go, I'm stronger than this. So she ties him up though, so he's bound, and he grabs him by the legs, and he's not kicking at her, he's just whinging, because Tristan's a good dude. So she grabs him by the legs and she begins to try and drag him out of this space, whatever that looks like. So we're going to face danger. It's going to continue our movement through this tunnel, using strength, obviously. And it is a weak hit. We're just going to say that she's dragging them through the tunnel. She manages to sort of keep them moving, but the threat doesn't advance. Okay, so things aren't well, but they're getting through the tunnel okay. So they get to the end of this corridor, and even Gahenna can feel the whispers, which never quite went away. They're still there, but she sort of kept it under control. She gets to the other end of the tunnel, and then they sort of go quiet. So whatever that was, it's finished now. But as they reach the end of this tunnel, what do they encounter then? Okay, actually that's interesting. So they drag through the tunnel, they get to the end, and they find there, let's just go cliches here, something that charges health. They find a little spring, a little bubble of water. And they don't know if this is deliberate or not, but it seems to be slowly dropping in from the roof and landing in some sort of little, I don't want to say like a pond. I'm not even sure if it's meant to be there. It looks kind of set up, but it's whatever this little cistern is, it's catching this water, and this water glows. It just glows ever so slightly. It means that the little oil lamp, which like Gahenna has been trying to maneuver, my goodness, it probably went out as they were like moving through the tunnel, so she sort of stayed stuck to the wall, and she could see the glowing at a distance. She didn't know what it was, but she got closer and closer, and then she found this little glowing spot. She's able to find a tinderbox, then light it, and the light from the oil lamp is actually definitely brighter than that of the glowing water, but she feels safe about this. I think we're in a situation where, like, it's 50-50, okay? So it's 50-50 whether charge health mean that this pool would heal her and obviously heal up Tristan, who at this stage, like, he's gone through, the whispers stopped and he just sort of then went like, oh, and he sort of passed out a little bit, both from that mental stress but also the injury on his leg now. This pool could heal them both, or it could kill them. Like, it charges health. That doesn't, I mean, that recharge health, but it could, you know, charge them as in hurt their health. Karen doesn't know what to do. And here she is in the dark, alone with this guy she's trying to help, or he's trying to help now. She doesn't even know why. She could have left him back in the tunnel, but she didn't. Why did she do that? Why didn't she just leave him? She couldn't leave him. But here they are, at a possible way of saving themselves. Come on, Abba, come on. So we want to gather information. So it's our wit. So that seems to fit the sort of virtuousness of this divinity. So we'll roll 4 plus 4. Let's see. All of a sudden, Gahenna feels just that little more reassured as to what's going on. She looks at this pool and thinks, no, I can figure this out. Her mind stills and she feels like everything about her is as it should be. Not that it's meant to be, not that she's the chosen one, but that she reflects something more than just what she is, at least in a best way. And she knows this stuff. She learnt about it as a child. She learned about it from her mother, the sort of magical qualities of nature. She knows that understanding the order and the beauty of this world is something that's not just a part of who she is, but a part of everything, a part of what's bigger and more amazing in this world. So she'll figure this out. She can figure this out. She's going to gather information. She's going to figure out if this fountain is healthy or not. So obviously we're using wit for this. She looks at the fountain and she looks around the edges. She's looking for like any sort of signs of moss, anything living, any fungus, things like dead and rotting. She's looking for anything that might indicate to her that this is a good thing to drink. All right. Okay, so I actually scored a miss, but I do have enough momentum because of that little pep talk or whatever that was, that little devotant prayer, to burn, to get one of these, as a 9 and a 7, to burn the 7, so that's now a weak hit. So she looks and she sees that, okay, the fountain is poisonous. It's definitely poisonous. This thing would kill you. But she sees the mosses around the outside. She sees that some of these mosses she recognizes as potential herbal remedies. She goes, okay, no, this is, I know this. Now, this moss is feeding on the poison, so it should be poisonous moss. But I'm also a herbalist. So if I can take that, I might be able to turn even this poisonous moss into something that can heal us, something that can help us. Let's give it a go. So Gahenna has her stuff. She gets out of her pack, her little mortar and pestle, of course, a mortar and pestle, a little bowl, really, a wooden bowl with a little wooden stick. And she also got a few other bits and bobs that she sort of always carries with her, dried, obviously. And she gathers up some of this moss. She's got a little bit of her own water, which she adds and she begins to mix to make this herbal recipe, this little remedy that she might be able to use. And what she's going to then do is she's going to do a healing move on both herself and on Tristan. And so as well as rolling her wits 3, she's also going to be rolling with an additional 2 because she's a herbalist. So it's actually +5. This roll. That's how I read the rules. I could be wrong, but that's what we're gonna do. Let's see if that works. Oh, this has gotta work, surely. It does. Oh, okay, it does. So the +5 wasn't necessary because it's against, it's a 1. I got a 1, but it was against a 2 and another 2. So it's doubles and it's a double win. So basically she does indeed heal herself. She heals Tristan, which brings them both back up to 5. Gahenna up to 5, Tristan up to a metaphorical 5. But also, as she's doing this, she notices that Tristan begins to just come back around. He was all like addled and stuff, and he was like, oh, Gahenna, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. That was just crazy. Did you... All my stuff's back there. Oh my gosh, I just dumped all my stuff. I'm so sorry, Gahenna. He's apologizing, and he's just like, don't worry about it. It's okay. It wasn't you. And in this moment, they both... He's still addled, but he's coming back to it. But Gahenna also feels buoyed by this. Like, she feels that she did it. Like, she used her skills. She figured out how to heal them both. They're feeling great now. And I don't know, there was something almost divine about that whole experience. So I'm going to say that actually boosts up her spirit. Okay, it boosts her spirit up from 3 to 4. So you're meant to get 2 off of that. So that's, I had 4 health. So that's that. And so that's that one. Do I, because I got doubles, take the spirit right up to 5? Look, because my supply is 2 at the moment, I'm going to need every advantage I'm going to get. I'm going to do myself a favour, and I am going to bump the spirit. No. Yes, bump the spirit up to 5. My game. Okay. So with her spirits and health boosted, momentum pretty low, but they have managed to get themselves back to a pretty good fighting state, although completely ill-equipped. But they're pretty deep in this mountain now. Surely they must be getting close to where these people are. We've got ourselves 2 to go. Okay, this is what's going to happen. They're in this cave, feeling pretty good, and then they realize as they're healing up and as they're looking around, and maybe Tristan, he's untied himself, he's getting up and he's sort of loosening up again. Gahenna's just looking around the cave, and as she looks, she comes across the monolith is just there. She finds it, she sees it, it's actually just sitting right there in the corner of the room, sitting in the dark, unseen. It's like its presence is made known viciously, even though it's just a solid bit of iron. There's no movement. It's just, it feels like it screams at her just as she looks at it. But she sort of startles, gets herself the monolith. Oh my gosh. And as she looks at it, she even looks up and sees that glowing liquid that's going into the pool is actually trickling down a specially designed fissure in the ceiling down into that pool behind her. Maybe all these weird goings on. Is this monolith causing these strange psychedelic effects? The poisonous water? Is that what's going on here? But then she realizes, we're here. We're here? What do you mean we're here? This is the monolith. Here we are. Which means the chasm that they found, the little pocket they found as they went through the cave, is just below us or above us. Either one. Well, which is it? How do we know if they're above or below? I don't know. And it could even be a lot further up or a lot further down. Let's have a look. So they start knocking on the tiles. They do knock on the fissure, but they figure that this whole big design thing is just solid rock as it feeds down into that pool. They knock on the ground, and as they knock, they do actually hear a little bit of hollowness. It doesn't make any sense. It's stone. So why would stone have hollow? Could it be? It couldn't be the fissure underneath. Even if it was the fissure beneath it, it wouldn't be echoing that much. But down seems the more likely option to dig because, I don't know, that just seems the way to go. So the 2 of them look at this ground and they think, well, if we start smashing the tile, because it seems like tile, not rock. what we could do is we could try and dig our way down. We haven't got the mallet, the entrenching tool anymore, but we could try and dig down, and perhaps if we go down, it might give us a passageway to where these people are. It's worth a go. So we're actually going to finish our little journey. We managed to cross off 8 of our little progress bars there. So what we'll do is we'll roll against 8, and they dig. They get some rocks, and they do indeed start smashing. They find some of these rocks and tiles do smash away pretty easily. They then get to some what seems to be dirt. They dig the dirt back and they find rocks. Those rocks are jammed in, so they actually manage to then get in there. They get the broken entrenchment tool, just like the shaft of it. They sort of wedge it in, they're able to lever, and it takes a lot of effort. This is taking time, by the way, and they're getting tired. They get that rock out of the way. They dig some more through the dirt. They get that rock they're following a bit of a path where the echoes seem to have gone into, and they keep listening, and they're like, I don't know, we just feel like there's something down here. They keep digging and digging, and it takes ages. It actually takes them like a solid hour to keep digging down and down and down. But as they dig down, they eventually break down into a space. They can feel like a sudden rush of cold air coming up, or something, or maybe hot air, just a change of air pressure. And like, what's this? They begin to pull back, and look, this even takes longer. They think, oh, we've gotten through, but no, actually they have to then clear it and make this hole wider for them to be able to look down. And it's dark, so they can't even see down there. But they're digging, and it takes like another half hour just to widen the hole out so that can, you know, fit down. At first, Tristan can't, even though Tristan's not the biggest dude in the world. He is bigger than Gahenna. So Gahenna in the end's like, well, I'll go down. Lower me first. I mean, they're like, it could be a long way down. It could be a full-on drop. Take the risk. So they get that little bit of rope that had Tristan tied up, and she sort of uses that, and Tristan sort of holds it, and she sort of like lowers down a little bit, kind of head first, with the lamp, trying to see down if they can look down into this space below. And they find eyes looking up at them. Gahenna sort of startles. She nearly lets go of the rope. She nearly lets go of the oil lamp, but she sort of gains herself and holds it. And as she sort of settles, she looks at these eyes, the reflection of the lamplight bouncing off the sort of irises of this, whatever it is. And she looks and she sees more of these little reflected eyes, but she's like, oh, is this a creature? She looks, and eventually the eyes, as the light sort of, you know, adjusts across them, that she sees faces. Faces that are bearded, faces that are dirty, faces that are afraid. They've found them, and they're alive. Okay, so they found the miners. They found the quarriers. See, they found them, and they're alive. Look, I rolled against the sort of conclude journey, the reach destination roll. And we got a strong hit. We got a very strong hit. And I think we can say that there's at least a few survivors in there. Now, how many? We're not sure at this stage. I think we said there was 6 that got trapped down there or something like that, or 10, something like that. So we'll roll to see how many are still alive now, next time. But we found them alive. And this bodes well. This bodes well for our little quest. I think we can mark some progress on that one at least, that we found the survivors. And maybe that bodes well for actually fulfilling this quest to preserve life, because there is life to preserve. There's hope in this dark place. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.